Hey guys, I just want to wish you all a happy new year. It's the beginning of January 2020. What a weird year it sounds like. But anyways, kind of made a quick video here on comparing the MacBook Air and the iPad Pro 12.9. They're both kind of similar in a lot of ways. Um, they're both small form factor and they're both pretty capable for what they are, for the size that they are. And I had both and decided on the iPad Pro for many reasons. And basically, this video is going to explain what exactly the reasoning is and why I chose the iPad Pro over the MacBook, that's a similar price. So I kind of want to go through that in this video. The sizes, as you can see in the video here, are very similar as far as form factor for carrying them around. The weight is about the same. I think the iPad with the keyboard on it, and just so you know, I'm comparing the iPad Pro with a keyboard to make it more similar to what the MacBook Air would be to flip out in kind of a laptop form factor, which I think is really good. But as you can see, it's pretty much the same height, top to bottom, side to side. It varies by maybe an inch or whatever. The MacBook is a little bit bigger, but the pricing is very similar for the spec models that I have, as I showed at the beginning of this video, and I just kind of wanted to go through and tell you why I think the iPad Pro is a better buy. So one of the reasons is you can go ahead and use the iPad with a external keyboard and mouse setup on a stand for like a desktop experience, which is a little better than the actual laptop. Where you could set it up like a laptop, like we have here, which is very similar to a laptop. But again, you can separate and put it on a stand and use it with a full-size keyboard and a mouse. Now that there's a new software update that allows you to use the mouse, and it just gives you more of a desktop experience that I guess you could still do that with the MacBook Air too, but then you have two keyboards in front of you, and it's a little bit bulkier to deal with. But as far as versatility goes, you've got the Apple Pencil, you've got the touch screen that you don't have, and you also have LTE connectivity that you can get on the iPad Pro that you can't get on the MacBook Air. So as far as performance and whatnot goes, the iPad Air and benchmarkings and whatnot is actually less than the iPad Pro, which is a tablet, versus a laptop, which is kind of crazy how powerful the actual iPad Pro is. But for video editing and games and all that stuff, by far the iPad Pro is the way to go over the MacBook Air. It's just kind of the MacBook Air is a nice computer, don't get me wrong, but for the money you just get more bang for your buck. Like I said, you get the touch screen, you get a tablet form factor with the app ecosystem. You've got the pencil, so you can draw on the screen and do all different things with that. And again, you can set it up as more of a desktop experience. Comparing the two keyboards, I actually prefer the iPad Pro keyboard, the Apple keyboard, over the MacBook Air. In a couple of seconds here, I'm going to let you compare the difference in sound between the two keyboards. So you can kind of determine for yourself which one you like. I think it's a little more of a positive feel on the actual keyboard for the iPad than the MacBook. here's some spec numbers from Geekbench, which, this is the newer Geekbench, which all the numbers are, I think, like 25% of what the old Geekbench was. I have a USB style hub. It actually works on both the MacBook Air or the iPad Pro, but allows you to hook in an SD card, USB card reader, HDMI output, and also charge it while you're using the port. But the pencil is really nice, even to just use as in the desktop like I'm using here, which is something that you don't have on the MacBook Air. Like I said, video editing with LumaFusion is better. I actually have a comparison coming up to show the two difference. One just running Final Cut Pro and then one running the LumaFusion. The actual export times, the rendering, everything is just faster with the iPad Pro, which is crazy considering it's a tablet. The Apple Pencil and the apps that allow you to use the Apple Pencil with are pretty nice. It's definitely nice to have, as opposed to not having it like with the MacBook Air. And as far as using it for, YouTube and watching videos and stuff, it's just better to have the tablet. In my opinion, it's easier to carry around. You can kind of just stick it, right on your lap, use it in different forms. A lot lighter just to one hand, and the sound is also better. It has the 4 speakers as opposed to the MacBook that only has the 2. So here's just kind of a side profile, between the two. The actual iPad Pro takes up less space on the desk, as you can see here. The MacBook sticks out quite a bit more because of the touchpad. But you can just touch the screen, which is a lot easier in my opinion. Here's just, like I was talking about earlier, the video editing capabilities between the LumaFusion on the right and the the Final Cut Pro on the left on the MacBook. And this is the hub that I was talking about. I think it was probably $38 or something on Amazon, one of the generic companies. There's quite a few companies that make these. It has the USB-C headphone jack. It has the USB, the old style 3.0, a full size and a small micro SD card reader, and the HDMI output, which just plugs right into the side like that. Really easy to carry around and have with you. And like I said, it also, you could unplug it, and you could use it on the MacBook as well, because that only has, the MacBook Air only has 2 ports. So this allows you to do all those things on that as well. It's more designed for the iPad, I believe, but to have it, you could use it on either one. So it's kind of a wash there. MacBook Air does have 2 ports as opposed to the 1. And here's just a size comparison with just the tablet as opposed to the MacBook Air. As you can see, then it becomes a lot smaller and more sleek to carry around if you just need to use it as a tablet and don't actually need the keyboard. So you have that option that you wouldn't have with the MacBook Air. They both scroll really nice when you're looking at web pages. This is Apple's site, just kind of taking a finger to swipe up and down. It's got a really nice smooth scrolling, the same as using the touchpad on the MacBook. So that's pretty similar as far as a web experience. But I did write down kind of a comparison chart that you'll see on the screen in a moment, comparing the two with the pluses and minuses basically between the two, in my opinion. and why I'm choosing the iPad Pro. So prices, as you can see, the base model, you do get a little bit more storage with the MacBook Air at 128 gigabytes as a base as opposed to the 64. But the overall size is smaller in the iPad. I prefer the keyboard on the iPad. The touchscreen, on the iPad, the MacBook does not have. Pencil support, again, you have that on the iPad. You don't have it on the MacBook. Performance, the iPad Pro is faster. And then as far as having a tablet slash computer, is better on the iPad over the MacBook. And the LTE option that you don't have on the MacBook Air. So hopefully this video helps somebody make up your mind whether you want to go with the MacBook Air or the iPad Pro. In my opinion, the iPad Pro for the money is just all around better, as I explained in this video. So have a good one. Thanks for watching.